When you start something new, you typically learn through experience. It's trial and error, and you fail your way to success. But if you're smart, you look around at the people who've already succeeded in your industry and are already where you want to be. And you learn from them. You see what's working from them, and you learn from their mistakes so you know what not to do. So in this video, I want to cover 5 things that I wish I knew when I started dropshipping. Hopefully by sharing some things I've learned and some mistakes that I've made along the way, it'll help you. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that everything is not equal. Everything on your to-do list, not equal. Every hour you work, your production during them, not equal. You're sometimes more productive than other times. And all dropshipping sites, definitely not equal. Since I have several courses on dropshipping and a YouTube channel where I primarily talk about it, I'm constantly testing new sites to dropship on and new methods to do so. And even though you can successfully dropship on a bunch, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should. No matter what you're doing, whether it's dropshipping or something else entirely, you want to look for asymmetric returns, or something where the return on your time and your effort is extremely worth it, as opposed to the opposite, where even if you do see success, it'll take a lot more effort to get there, and it still might not be as much success as if you just put a little bit of work into something that might pay greater dividends on your effort. So some of the sites that I believe you can currently yield asymmetric returns on, or put simply are worth listing on, are Amazon, Etsy, Facebook, Mercari, Poshmark, and eBay. You can see success on a lot of the other platforms I cover, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean it should be your main focus. I'd only recommend listing on them if you've covered all your bases on all the other websites, or if you have a VA with some extra time during the day and you're looking for some more sales. Another important lesson is that smaller sales matter too. And with smaller sales typically comes smaller profit, which definitely sounds counterintuitive, but you need the smaller sales because they come with higher volume most of the time, which means you can protect your store's metrics and your account health so you can continue selling long term. Obviously, in a vacuum, of course, a higher sale with more profit is always ideal, but we don't sell in a vacuum. And in practice, people buy cheaper items a lot more frequently and expensive items a lot less frequently. And so you need to balance out your store with smaller priced items as well, especially if you're selling on a marketplace. If you only focus on higher ticket items, yes, you can make more of a profit with less work, but you're leaving your store very vulnerable. And all it takes is a few unhappy customers or a few bad transactions, and you might end up in bad standing with that website and unable to sell on it anymore. The third lesson I learned was one that I banged my head against the wall over and over and over again until it finally sunk in. You only want to list products that are clearly described and have good reviews. Even if you find a product that's selling well and looks profitable, if it doesn't have those two things, trust me when I say, do not list it. In my experience, customer service on these products is almost always a headache because you get message after message with clarifying questions, and even if the customer isn't confused, you might have them after the sale. Plus, you might end up dealing with a lot of returns too, which costs you a lot of time for no more money, and can be extremely frustrating and mess with your books and cut into profit that you were expecting. By only listing products that are clearly described and already have good reviews, you'll know that pretty much any product you list will be understood by the customer and ultimately make them happy if they purchase it, which will then be a snowball effect and lead to more reviews, more customers in the future, and then more reviews and more customers in the future. It's a flywheel. Another key thing that I've picked up over the years is you don't always want to do what everyone else is doing. You should definitely watch videos and take courses from other people and constantly learn. That way you can avoid mistakes that they're already making and see what's working for them. And that will help you get some level of success and be a shortcut of sorts. But you also have to be willing to try new things that other people aren't yet doing and take some calculated risks that are different that might just pay off. If you only continue doing what everyone else is doing, you'll only ever be a slightly worse version of everyone else. And when things change, as they always do, you won't have the foresight to adapt because you're just copying everybody else and what they're doing and reacting to the market. So the best way to approach it is a balance between the two, right? Learn from others and definitely take the shortcut in the beginning so that you can jump up a few metaphorical steps on your way to the top, but never stop looking for that elevator or the innovative way that nobody else is currently doing and maybe nobody else has yet thought of. That's how you really hit it big, and really that's what all entrepreneurs do. Finally, the last lesson I learned was fairly recent. And again, I banged my head against the wall for years until I finally accepted this. You need to build a team if you ever want to do something even remotely big, meaningful, or if you don't want to be a slave to your own business. I was forced to learn this lesson at the beginning of last year, and I was working like 14-hour days, 7 days a week, doing absolutely everything in my business. Not only was I burnt out, but I lost passion for the business and it wasn't fun anymore, which crushed my productivity. And more importantly, it never afforded me the time to look around at new potential horizons or expand anyway, or new innovative ways to improve. And I believe that many entrepreneurs fall into this trap. I know I certainly did. The reason most of us start is because we want to be our own boss and we want more freedom. But then we just end up as an employee of ourselves and we end up creating another job for ourselves that we slave away at day after day, just on a different kind of hamster wheel. And if you do this, your business will be extremely vulnerable because you'll get stuck in your ways and you'll have no time to do R&D and innovate. It doesn't matter if you're drop shipping or if you're doing something else entirely. It's the famous saying, you'll be stuck working in your business and not on it. You can't do everything if you want to scale. And if you can learn to let go of the reins just a little bit in the beginning and bring someone on, I promise you it'll be one of the best decisions that you can make. That does assume, however, that your business is in a position where you should be hiring. So if you want to be sure that it's the right time to bring somebody on, or if you want to learn how to for when you're ready to in the future, I highly recommend clicking the playlist that's up on the screen right now. I've done countless videos explaining what I've learned spending tens of thousands of dollars, hiring dozens of people, and building a team. You'll learn how and where to hire them for pennies on the dollar, and you'll also learn how to outsource pretty much any task in your business. So those are 5 things that I wish I knew before I started dropshipping, and really a lot of these are just entrepreneur tips in general. It's not just for dropshipping. I really hope some of these help you in your own business.